working from home and exercises that you can do to kind of offset the postures that you are stuck in all day long. So I'm gonna start with a whole body routine that's just gonna go head to toe of undoing all of those bad postures that you're stuck in throughout the workday. And then the rest of it will kind of be breaking things up into like upper body and lower body and hip flexors and ways to just fix your posture throughout the day, and just ways to avoid being stuck in a certain, any type of posture all day. Movement is the focus. So the first thing is you need a foam roller. If you're gonna work from home, you need a foam roller. If you don't have one, then for now, just get a yoga mat, a rolled up yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, then roll up a blanket or a towel, like a big beach towel, something pretty firm. You're not gonna be able to roll out your spine on it, but you can do some decompression techniques and chest opening stuff, which is super important when you're working on a computer or a desk, whatever, all day. Okay, so I have my foam roller, and I'm just gonna show you quickly. You are gonna lay on it. If you have a long foam roller, you need a long foam roller to do this. If you don't have one, then you can still use the short one and just start it right at your tailbone and go up as far as you can, and then stack some pillows underneath. The whole idea is to be able to have your spine basically flat and then be able to open up the arms and open up the chest so that everything kind of drops lower than this type of posture. So we're trying to reverse that. You're gonna lay with your arms right out to the side. Some people are so tight that even this angle is a little too much. So if it is, just come down low, but you're still letting the shoulders drop back into good alignment. And then as you lay here, think about what is your pelvis doing. Try to get it nice and flat against the foam roller, and you'll see that your upper back, your thoracic spine gets flat too. And then you're really going to be here for about 2 to 5 minutes, however much time you can spend doing this. I usually set a timer for 5 minutes and I just lay here. And you're going to work your way up. And it might even take like a minute or two to be able to come all the way up. But ideally, we should be able to stretch all the fibers of the pecs, which come all the way up to here, right? And see how tight mine is? Like I can't come down to the floor now that I'm up that high. But the lower I get, the better. So then you can do things like snow angels and do like 20 of them, or just set a timer and just keep doing them nice and relaxing, nice and gentle. It should not hurt. If there is pain, then stop, obviously. All of this stuff should feel good. If you don't have one of those, then you're gonna just lay on a foam roller, and same thing. What is this? You're gonna lay on a yoga mat. And then if you don't have a yoga mat, you're gonna use a towel. The other thing, you're gonna lay this way and find those really tight spots. They're right around your shoulder blade area. You can even lift your hips up a little bit and then sink back. And you can just lay here. You can rock your knees side to side. You should get some cracks out of your back, like me. Very noisy back there. And then once that feels better, then go down to your next segment or go up. And same thing. When you work your deep breathing into this, with each exhale, you're getting things to relax a little bit more. Cool. So you can do that on a foam roller, on a towel roll, on a blanket roll, or on a yoga mat rolled up. All right, so some good stretches. Since you are stuck in this posture all day, only you're here, you're sitting all day long. Terrible, terrible, terrible for humans. So we need movement in your spine. So this is one of my favorite stretches. Crossing the knee, the heel is right on the knee, and you're pulling the knee down to the ground. And you are gonna feel a big stretch through here of all those muscles that are so tight from just sitting or standing all day, whatever type of desk you have. And then you just look over that shoulder for an extra twist. And breathe. Remember to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth for actual relaxation. And to get your diaphragm back on, because that's been pretty much shut down all day from sitting. Same thing, pull to the other side, arm is out, and look over that opposite shoulder. Deep breaths. And then what I like to do is just kind of wiggle here, and I pull my knee down, give it a little extra resistance, only if you can tolerate this, only if there's no pain. And I actually push my knee up into my heel, or whatever that is, my foot. Hold for 5, relax, inhale, push, exhale, relax. You'll find that this kind of drops open more and more each time you contract and then relax. So I would do like 5 to 10 of those, whatever feels good. Sometimes I have people hold it for like a minute, and sometimes I have them do like 10 of them 10 times. It kind of depends on how tight are you, or do we need to get more mobility back? You probably need both. I'm just gonna guess. Whatever feels good to you though is what you're gonna do. So another good rotational stretch that kind of gets like everything all at once, and I'm all about like a bunch of stuff at once because I know time is of the essence for most people. You're gonna take your right leg, bring it way up and over. You're trying to keep your right leg up at like hip height. Your left leg, you're gonna grab your foot, pull it down to the ground, pull your right knee up towards you, push both of those down into the ground, and breathe. And then your right shoulder, you're gonna push that towards the ground too. So we are getting a deep, deep stretch of your thoracic spine and of your left hip flexor and quad. Only go into what is comfortable. Don't push this if there's pain, especially in your back. And then you're gonna reverse. So now you're gonna take your right knee, just kidding. You're gonna take your left knee, you're gonna pull it way up and over. Keep it up high. Grab your left foot, pull it behind you. Oh, that quad is tight. Push your right knee down with your hand. Pull your left foot to the floor. Pull your left knee behind you. And then drive your left shoulder down towards the ground. One side is definitely going to be tighter than the other. And then don't forget to breathe. So for these, I would hold these. Hold it for at least 30 seconds to a minute. Do 3 or 2, depending on how long you're holding, on each side. A lot of people forget about that thoracic mobility and how important it is and how much we lose just by sitting or just by standing. When I say sitting, standing is the same. And it's funny, we've advocated so much over the years for these standing desks, and now people have them, and now we're realizing, oh, well, now you're just standing a lot. We still have a lot of the same issues. Maybe you don't have a really tight hip flexor, but everything else is still being stuck in one place. Anyway, we'll get there. So quadruped rocks. So sitting, you kind of lose your hip mobility, you lose your lumbar mobility, and everything kind of ends up moving as one thing together. So now we have to try to dissociate those things. So you're going to get your spine nice and long and flat, and you are just going to think about your tailbone reaching straight behind you. So this isn't like a cat-cow where you're trying to round and extend. We are staying here because what we're working on is this hip, both hips, and its hinging ability. And a lot of people have trouble with this. So it's super important to get it back, and it's gonna feel really good after sitting all day to get into this deep hip flexion where there isn't stress on your spine. And these go for 2 sets of 10. You can even reach a little bit. And come back. And if your hips are so tight that being in this position kind of hurts, so you can be here where my knees are pretty much right under my hips, or you can come out wider and just sit back. Same thing. It's also not a child's pose. We don't want any rounding of the spine. We want to elongate it. Get rid of the curves that you just created from sitting. All right, if you've watched my videos before, you know that I am actually a big fan of bridges and of the hip flexor march because of that SI joint stuff. But now, there's a new reason why. Because it reverses the position that you've been in all day, whether you're sitting or standing. So we're trying to get those glutes to fire. If you think about somebody right here pushing down on you, what would you do? You would automatically flex and push through your glutes instead of letting your back do everything. Tons of force being pushed down here, and you are just forcefully pushing straight up. None of that segmental stuff. We are trying to get those glutes firing and stretching out the hip flexors at the same time. So now, if this is easy enough, which hopefully it is, then you can just go right into a march and make sure those hips do not drop. You could just do this for a minute. Really do this to fatigue, or 20 to 30. Take some rest if you need to. I usually don't like to do things really fast. I usually like them to be really thoughtful and thinking about what you're doing. But if you're in decent shape and you have a lot of these exercises down, then you can go through them pretty quickly. Abdominal bracing with the march. And if this is too much, just do one leg at a time. If it's still too much, take the band off of your foot. But you want to be maintaining your IAP. And then if you're stable enough, then you can do alternating. Just really make sure that you are stable, that there's nothing moving up here before you start to do more dynamic movements, more like quicker movements. If you don't already own a band, get a band. Do yourself a favor and get yourself a band. There are loop bands on my website. You also will need long bands, which I don't have yet. I'll be working on that, but you can get them anywhere. If you have any sporting goods store near you, they're gonna have these types of bands. And they usually come in a set of them, or go to Amazon. Okay, so lower trap pulls. You're constantly here. We're basically trying to get you here. So we're trying to like open everything up, reverse what you've been doing all day. And this is for anybody. You're usually just in a constant posture all day, like a very overused posture, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're in school, whether you're teaching on the computer, or working from home, or you're just doing your normal job as usual, you're probably using your arms out in front of you, and we're trying to reverse that. So here we are. Palms forward, grab the band, have decent tension on it. Don't start with it way out here. Start pretty close together. And then you are just pulling apart and reaching for the floor. And of course, I've got my IAP on. And all of my standing exercises, I'm thinking about my feet all the way up to my neck and making sure that what it's doing is appropriate. Remember, those feet affect your posture all the way up, and your neck affects your posture as well. Pull straight open. Here's what we don't want. None of that, and none of this. People love to use their rectus abdominis, and they love to use their back extensors. We want to use all of this. That's what they're there for. pull apart, reach for the ground. And then you can hold this when you feel comfortable. Hold it for like a good 10 seconds, and then you can just bust out like 5 to 10 of them, and it's pretty quick, and it's pretty exhausting too. You could do a hold for 10, and then you can do like 10 of these. I like to mix it up and do a little bit of both. And this seems super easy until you try it and you have resistance. It's not that easy anymore. It's pretty tiring, especially because you're not using these muscles all day. You're using the opposite. Okay, so there's that. That's a lower trap pull from low down. And here's an overhead. And I like it as an isometric, so you come in real close, pull and hold. Get your feet hip distance apart, toes splayed, quads are engaged, glutes are engaged, core is engaged, and now your lower trap should be engaged, and you should be in very good postural alignment all the way up. So when you work on all these things all at the same time, you get to kill a lot of birds with one stone. So that one I would hold 10 seconds. Do as many as you can. If you can do 10 of them, that'd be really hard, but that's good. And then waiter's tips. So again, here we are in internal reflex. We're in internal rotation. We're adducted this way, and we want to do the opposite. These are called waiter's tips, and you want to keep your elbows right at your side and just pull the band right open. And of course, we start at the feet and we go all the way up to the hips. Make sure we're in perfect alignment. Core is engaged. Elbows stay right at your side. Pull straight open and watch that neck, that when you pull, you don't do this. I felt that right in my back when I did that. So you should feel this behind your shoulder. You'll probably feel it in your bicep too. But ultimately we want to feel it like back here and even between the shoulder blades when you squeeze them together. All right, down to the legs. Super functional, super easy. Everybody knows how to squat. You can go as deep as you need to, as deep as you want to, as long as you're keeping really good mechanics. This way. Once this is easy, put a band around your thighs right here. IAP and breathe. That's easy. Stay down there. Do some weight shifts. 10 to each side. Teach your body to take weight again, because it has not done this all day. Here it is from the side. Knees are pulled apart. My butt is way behind me, like I'm trying to sit in a chair. Do not let yourself fall into this pattern, because this is what chair sitters end up looking like. This is their squat, and man, you could imagine how this feels. So keep that perfect alignment. A favorite, heel raises, straight up, hold on to something. Have yourself in a better position than I am right now. But look at your toes and make sure they're straight forward, they're splayed, and that you're able to pick yourself up and not forward. Here's what always happens. This. They're usually holding on to something and they're really just rocking themselves forward. That is cheating. That's not gonna get you anywhere. But we gotta get those calves working again. Your feet have been unweighted and definitely not flexing and pushing off. So we gotta bring that back. And then one of the easiest things to do, Single leg balance. Get your arch engaged, your toes splayed. When you're in this position, this glute is squeezed and your core is tight on this side. So IAP is always on. We don't want this, and you definitely don't want to be jumping around too much. So if you have to, just hold on to something to start. And if this is easy, start giving yourself some little squats. Do a little twist, a little touch down to the side, to the side, to the front. So many ways to play with it, but just get your single limb loaded. Because as a human, that's what you're supposed to be doing all day long. And when you're not, you're basically not a human anymore. You can do some of these, get those hips open. Rotate on top of your leg. All sorts of things, but take home point is move. I gave all really simple, just human movements for the most part. You want to summarize, if you want a summary of what I just did, so you can just write it down really quickly and you don't have to watch this video ever again. Foam roll. Get on a foam roll blanket or towel, roll it up, lay on it for 2 to 5 minutes, arms out to your side. You're gonna do a stretch on top of the foam roll in the opposite way and just get every segment to move by rotate the legs on top of it. The TFL stretch is that figure 4, pull the knee open, stretch out your whole side and your thoracic spine. The pretzel stretch, when you're in a big pretzel, you're doing a quadruped rock back to get those hips moving the right way. A hip flexor march with the band on the feet. The bridges with the band around the thighs, lower trap, pull aparts, and waiter's tips. By the way, waiter's tips, one at a time, if this is easy. Calf raises, squats, single leg stance. Done. That's gonna be under 30 minutes. It's gonna be super fast. You're gonna have no excuse not to do it because now you're not traveling. So I see no reason why you can't be doing this every day, maybe even twice a day. I will post some stretches and some things for you to do all throughout the day coming up shortly.